Good evening, Disruptive Leaders. Welcome to week 3 of the Disruptive Download. I'm Dr. Danielle R. Green, otherwise known as Dr. G, your conflict connoisseur, and I'm guiding you in all things regarding transformational leadership. So I'm just going to start off the night with the caveat that I always have some notes to go off of for our sanctuary for the disruptive soul and the disruptive download. But I'm really going to lean into my notes tonight because I know that this topic that we're going to talk about tonight, it might be something that you wrestle with. And so I'm just giving you the heads up that we are really going to lean in this short time, but not a long time that I'm going to be with you about something that ultimately all people wrestle with, especially leaders. And so what are we going to lean into tonight? Feedback. The theme for tonight is, what's the feedback telling you? What's the feedback telling you? Again, the theme for tonight, for week 3, is what's the feedback telling you? Now, I know sometimes feedback feels more like a jab than a gift. But for disruptive leaders, feedback isn't personal. It's purposeful. So if you're a disruptive leader, you should never perceive feedback being personal. But feedback is always purposeful, right? Not personal, but purposeful. So let's talk about that, because when you think that you're doing a great job, a wonderful job, you're doing what you've been called and destined to do, sometimes we come with a mindset or a lens that when somebody is giving us feedback, it's like an attack on us, or that we're not hitting the mark, or that we're not doing excellent work in what we've been called to do. I want to shift your mindset on that. And so again, feedback isn't about who you are. It's about how what you do impact others. Let me say that again. Feedback isn't about who you are. It's about how what you do impacts others. So when you receive it with curiosity, meaning when you receive feedback with curiosity instead of defensiveness, you can unlock an entire realm of growth, clarity, and transformation. I'm going to say that again. When you receive feedback with curiosity instead of defensiveness, you unlock an entire realm of growth, clarity, and transformation. So can I give you some truths tonight? I just want to at least give you one truth. We can definitely go into some others in our next segments, but I just want to drop this one crumb, this one truth on you tonight. Here's the truth. You ready for the truth? Type and let me know that you're ready for the truth. Here's the truth. Some of the most unexpected breakthroughs I've had in my leadership journey didn't come from a book. They came from a bold truth someone else offered me. And when I didn't want to hear it, right? So I'm going to say that again. Some of the most unexpected breakthroughs in my life as a leader came not from the books, because I have degrees in leadership, right? So it wasn't about learning the theories and practices of leadership, those breakthroughs, those epiphanies, those ahas, when the light bulb went off, came when someone decided to tell me the bold truth. Especially at a time that I didn't want to hear the bold truth. So I'm going to let that sit for a minute. Because again, we as leaders, especially disruptive leaders, we have to have discernment and we have to have an ear to hear what is being said. Because feedback is not about, and I'm going to go back to something I said earlier, and I'm going through my notes because I'm being intentional about going through my notes with this. It's not about what you do. Feedback is not about who you are, but it's about how what you do impacts others. Feedback is not about you, who you are personally, but it's about your actions and how your actions impact others. So you have to be in a space where you are comfortable enough to hear the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I cannot remember the name of the movie at this point, but I remember Jack Nicholson being in the movie. I remember Cuba Gooding Jr. being in the movie. And the movie was about an African-American Navy officer. But at some point in the movie, Jack Nicholson says this comment about, you can't handle the truth, right? Again, I can't remember the name of the movie at this point. It's escaping me. But as leaders, we have to be willing, open, and available to handle the truth, even when we are not expecting to hear the truth, and even when we are in a place that we really don't even want to hear the truth. But we have to be open and available and accessible to hearing, not just hearing, but receiving the truth. Thank you for that. I believe it is Men of Honor. I believe that's the movie, right? And so we have to be willing to hear the truth, and we have to be willing to process the truth. So I got a couple of questions for you tonight. I want you to ask yourself, be reflective, because a lot of the work that we do is about self-awareness. So this is about you and your journey and how you're going to grow and how you're going to move along this disruptive journey, as in they say in Mission Impossible, if you choose this assignment. Is the feedback about your delivery? Sometimes it's not what we're saying, it's actually how we're saying it. How you say a thing matters, even when you're telling the truth, right? Because if you got undertone with it, if you got attitude with it, if you're being sarcastic with it and all those things, people are not going to receive it well. And so, is your feedback being delivered the right way? Here's another question to ask yourself. What about your timing? So, praise in public, feedback in private. Nobody wants to be put on blast. Nobody wants to be made to feel as if they are not hitting the mark and they have their peers and others around them like judging them and questioning them. Where are you actually giving and providing the feedback? That matters. So when we talk about creating a space of safety, of culture, of belonging, People want to feel comfortable in the spaces that they're in, even when sometimes things that are being told to them are uncomfortable. And so we have to make sure that spaces are safe, that they are welcoming, that they are belonging, even when we have to tell hard truths. What about your presence? What's your presence giving off? What is your persona giving off? Are you the type of leader that is quick to point fingers at everybody else and what they're not doing right, but you don't want anybody to tell you when you're not doing right? Like, what is your presence saying when it comes to feedback? Or maybe, is it confirming something you already knew? You know how you have those like ouch moments? Sometimes people are in church and the minister is preaching, and sometimes you're sitting there and you're like, did the preacher come to my house last night and see what was going on? Did the preacher hear the conversation I had on the phone? Did they see my text message? Because they are all up in my stuff. Like, they are crushing my toes. Sometimes we already have received that inkling. We have already gotten that insight. We already have that settling in our spirit and in our soul that tells us we need to do things a little bit differently. But it's not until somebody else reiterates that we receive the confirmation, like, oh yeah, that's right. I do need to do that differently. So let's talk about this midweek prompt. What's one unexpected insight that emerged this week? You know, every week I'm challenging you to dive deeper into relationships and to specifically go deeper into some of those relationships that are really going to be the connection that you need to get to your next level. And sometimes when you go deeper into something, and we talked about this last week when we talked about soil and seeds and going deep. And, you know, going deeper into the soil means that it's a little bit more messier. It's more dirt around it. And so when you go deeper, sometimes some things get exposed in the deep that don't get exposed on the surface. So was there an expected insight that emerged this week that you wasn't prepared for? Maybe you heard something in passing in reference to you or something that you said or you did. Maybe someone asked you, are you okay? In a way that made you stop, like kind of think, ponder. Or maybe a team member challenged you, not out of disrespect, but out of a desire for more clarity, more collaboration, or a better understanding, or to have a deeper connection with more of you. Take a moment. I want you to write it down. What's something someone said or something you noticed this week that made you pause? So every time you come to Sanctuary for the Disruptive Soul or the Disruptive Download, I really want you to bring that paper and pen or your electronic device to write some things down. You know, I told you all that I'm a Jesus girl. I'm a Christian girl. So I'm all about the word. Write the vision. Make it plain. We have to be reflective on who we are and where we are going. So we should always be jotting down notes. Those things. I loved Arsenio Hall when he had his show. And he was talking about the things that make you go, Like, what are the things that make you go, about you and your leadership? So jot that down. What's something someone said or something you noticed this week that made you pause? Like, is that really me? Did I hear that right? Did I come across that way? Did I say that with some tone? I don't know how that really hit or settled with everybody. So here's your challenge. It's a mini challenge, but it's a challenge. I want you to take one piece of feedback and I want you to shift your approach. I want you to take that piece of feedback and figure out how you're going to shift your approach. How are you going to take the information that you received from that person and recalibrate, rethink how you're going to move and interact and do what it is that you need to do the next time? That doesn't mean a total overhaul. It might mean tweaking how you communicate. Nobody's saying that you have to water down what you're saying, but maybe you have to be intentional about how you say it, right? Delivery matters. Choice of words matter. Body language matters. Time and location matters. Saying it verbally versus saying it in an email matters. So being intentional about your delivery. It might be that you need to ask for more clarity the next time. So when somebody actually says something to you and they're giving you some feedback, so-and-so, can you explain what do you mean by this when you said ... or I ... Because I really want to understand what you're trying or attempting to communicate to me. I want to make sure that I'm processing it the way that you intend for me to receive it. It might mean showing up differently, being more open, being more grounded, and being more strategic. This week, I invite you to experiment with your response to feedback. Remember, disruptive leaders don't avoid feedback. You leverage it. So let's bring it home. Feedback isn't failure. Not at all. It's formation. In the words of Beyonce, right? We're going to get in formation. Feedback isn't failure. It's formation. It doesn't break you. It builds you. And if you let it, it can refine your leadership like nothing else can. So drop in the chat or in the comments, what's one piece of feedback you're taking seriously this week? What's one piece of feedback you're taking seriously this week? And more importantly, what will you do with the feedback that's been given to you? I want you to catch the replay. As soon as this is done, I'm going to drop it into all of the posts and areas. If you're joining us late, be sure to share this with another leader or leaders, your collaborators. We talk about who those collaborators are in the book. And B, those are the people around you who are brave enough to grow. So these are people who you are in like space with, who you are elevating at the same time that you get to bounce ideas and suggestions off of. So tag those people in the replay. But until next time, I want you to lead boldly, disrupt intentionally, and always listen deeply. I look forward to you joining me on Sunday for Sanctuary for the Disruptive Soul, week number 4. Take care.